guys, this is Deb with Four Seasons Crafts. So we are going to be making another card with a fish and a wish. So we've made two already. Let me just show those again. So this was our first one, this was our second one, and now we're on our third one. So I want to show you, I just pulled these pictures off. So if you guys have seen commercials or the intro for The Chosen, you can see they have all these fish, one of them going in one circle, and then the ones that look like they're made with Bermuda Bay going the opposite direction. So very cool. They have one in white with gray. Well, we're just going to kind of take a little bit of that kind of theme and make a card today. So this is the card that we're going to make, and it is a pull card. But what I want to notice is you have these gray fish going one way, and then when you pull, you're going to get the little fish that's going to travel across, and then it's going to open up this area here that says sending well wishes. Now, one of the things you're going to notice, and we're going to hopefully fix that, but this little guy, the little tail, is kind of getting stuck a little bit there. I've got to work on that. So that's the card we're going to make. I really love it. And we're going to use that ribbon, that metallic ribbon, mesh ribbon that kind of looks like fishing wire there, fishing net. So that's what we're going to use. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Let me pull out the pieces that we're going to use. And here we go. So we're going to need a card base that is 8.5 by 5.5. And then it is scored at 2 inches and 6 inches. Okay. Then you're going to need two pieces. One, they're both 3 3/4 by 5 3/8, and one is mint macaron and one is Bermuda Bay. And I'll go through, we're using those diorama dies for that. And then we're going to need for our greeting a piece of white that is 2.5 by 5/8, and then a piece of basic gray that is 2 3/4 by 3/4. So that's for our greeting. And then you're going to need some scraps, and I'm literally taking some scraps that I had from using the diorama dies, and we're going to use those for our fish on the front. And then you're going to need a couple brads. So whatever you have, they're not going to be visible. So you can use any old brads that you have. Then you're going to need two pieces of basic white cut at 3 inches by 4 3/4. And this is for one we're going to stamp with all of our fish. The other one's going to be that slider piece that kind of comes off out the side. Okay, so that's what we have. So we're going to start with our card base, and I just want to go over this with you. So we scored it again at 2 inches and 6 inches. So what we're basically going to create, the card is only going to be 4 inches tall, but it's still 5.5 this way. So it fits in a regular envelope, but what it's going to give us is that extra 1/4 inch kind of that we're cutting off. We now have this ability here to fold these over. See that? So that gives us a nice opportunity to seal this. Now we're not going to do that yet, but that's kind of our card. So now we're going to pull in, these are two pieces, and these of course are going to form the front of our card. Oops. And we're going to do this one a little differently. Sorry about that. There we go. So our sample had Bermuda Bay on the top. I thought this one we would do the opposite, just so we can get a different look. All right, so you're just going to take these two pieces, and what we're going to do is you're going to cut the top one out, and let me show you which die to use here. I'll turn this around. Okay, so you have them. So if we count, starting with the smallest up, is you're going to use the 4th one for the top. So this one here is going to be for our top frame. And then the next one, we want it to be smaller. So we're going to take the number 3 die, and that's going to be this one here. So if I lay it Oops, I guess I need to lay it probably, oops, sorry guys, this way like that. Okay, so this is the third one, and then this is the fourth one. So it's our larger one that is going to be on the top. So you're just going to take your cut and emboss machine and just kind of lay those at any kind of angle you would like, and then you're going to end up with these two pieces. And the leftovers that you have from these two cards, you want to make sure you don't throw those away. Now I'm going to use them for my scraps here, but the other thing you can do is layer these, and they make a beautiful card front as well. You could take this and put a little fish in there, you know, I mean, that would make a card all by itself right there, right? I mean, not, you know, on a card base, of course. Okay. Don't take that too literally, right? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take these two here, and we're going to go ahead and adhere them together. Now for these two, we're just going to glue them together. Okay, and actually, you know what? Before I even do that, I wanted to do one other thing on this card. So first I'm going to make sure I know how I want them to layer, because again, I want some of the other image to stick out. So I think we'll do it like that. And then I didn't do this on the last one, but I actually want to stamp using the piece of greenery here. And I want to stamp some of that at the bottom. And I'm just going to stamp it in Mint Macaron. Okay, so again, this is our color palette. We're going to have Mint Macaron, Basic Gray, and Bermuda Bay. So if you guys just heard that, that was our dog. It is raining outside here, so she has made a trip inside. Okay, so we're just going to tap that a little bit, and then we're really just going to create some of this little grassy images right here, kind of at the bottom, and we'll do some, a little bit on the side as well here, kind of creeping up a little bit on both sides. Okay, and there we go. So that might add a little more. We'll have to decide if we like it and if we think it looks pretty good, or if we think we want something different. So I'm just gonna take my chamois here, and I'm gonna clean that stamp good. And that is that. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and adhere this onto our other piece of paper here, or other piece of cardstock. So we're just gonna go around the edges, and we can pop that right down. And again, these are both the same size, or should be very close to the same size. So we can just lay those right on top of each other there. Okay. All right, so now what we're gonna do, we have one of our inks out. We're gonna go ahead and stamp our piece. We're gonna set this off to the side, and then we are going to stamp up our piece of white with our fish and our waves and that sort of thing. So let me show you again. So this was stamped with the Basic Gray for the fish, and then the lines are both Mint Macaron and Bermuda Bay. All right, and then we have this slit that we have to cut. So we're going to talk about that next. But first, we're going to go ahead and stamp. So we're going to go ahead and stamp our waves first. So we're going to get out, again, our Mint Macaron here. And we'll pull in our Bermuda Bay. And we're going to take our waves stamp here, and we're just going to basically go back and forth, but we're going to stamp on this one. Now, I don't want it to be too dark, so I'm going to kind of stamp up here where I'm not really going to see, and then I'm going to stamp down here where I can actually make it a little lighter. And you can see that I can actually do this 4 different times. So I'm going to turn my stamp around, and I'm going to stamp dark, and then maybe just a little bit off center there, a little bit over here, a little bit here, but you guys get the idea. And then if I don't have a place where I can maybe stamp where it's dark, I absolutely can then maybe just stamp off a little bit. So that gives me quite a bit of the Bermuda Bay. So the next I'm going to do the mint macaron. So again, we're going to clean off our stamp here. What's nice is you guys could even use this to make a nice background as well. All right, so here we go. We're going to kind of flip our card around and again, just stamp. And the only thing I would say, the only trick or thing I'd make sure that you do is to turn your stamp different directions. So all the waves, again, are not going in the same, kind of the same direction. All right, I think that gives us a nice little wavy look. Hopefully you guys can kind of see that, but super cool. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put these inks away for now. We're kind of done with our stamping of these two colors for now. And then we're gonna get our gray out, basic gray. And again, we'll wash and now we're gonna take our fish. Now this one is the one that coordinates with a punch. That's the fish size that we're using here. Okay, and again, this time, the nice thing about these fish too is you can have them go like they're swimming to the right or like they're swimming to the left. It's great. There's no kind of right or wrong way with them, which is awesome. So we're gonna have them swimming this way because we're going to have our pull card coming out the right side. All right, so now we're just gonna tap, make sure we get a good inked stamp here, and we're gonna go ahead and just layer our fish on. Now, one of the things I did was I kind of had the bodies line up a little bit like this, and then that way they looked a little more like they were in maybe a school of fish, so to speak. So however you want to do it, right? It's more of a background. And there we go. Okay, so there you have it. So that's our fish. And now we'll kind of move this off to the side. We'll use that a little bit later. Okay, now what we need to do is we're going to punch out before we do anything else. We're going to take our punch and we are going to punch out one of the fish, the larger fish, using our punch here. And we're going to want it in Bermuda Bay. So I'm going to put in my scrap here. And I'm going to kind of do it in the middle in case I decide I want to use this. Well, I guess I'm not going to be able to. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to get a nice good punch. Oops, kind of went a fly in there. And this is going to be our fish that we're going to have kind of swimming across. All right, so we'll move that off to the side. Okay, so now we have to make a slit inside of this card. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a ruler here and we're going to turn this card over. So we know it is, based on our measurements, right? It was 3 inches, kind of 3 inches down. So where we see 1.5, which is right about, isn't that funny, guys? I brought a pencil over. And I don't know what I did with it. That's okay. We'll just put kind of a little notch right here at 1.5. Okay. Now, and then we're going to go over here. I'm going to do the same thing. So we're going to find where it's 1.5, and it's right about here. Okay. Now what we're going to want to do is we're just going to basically make a kind of a slice right down our paper here. and then we're going to move down just a hair and then slice again. So we're just going to get this very thin line. All right, so we're going to bring in our trimmer. Okay. And again, I'm going to do this on the opposite side here, but I'm going to line up right here where I see those dots that I created, because that gives me kind of a midpoint. And then I'm going to come to about a 1/2 inch, okay? And then I'm going to go down to about 4 1/4. So it gives me, again, a 1/2 inch. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my, or move my paper a hair over, okay, to the opposite side, bring down my trimmer again, go up until I reach a 1/2 inch. And again, I'm looking at the measurement over here. And I will tell you, you guys need some pretty good light to be able to see that. And there you have it. And there I have this little border. I'm going to move this now out of the way. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm just going to trim here and take my scissors and trim over here. There we go. And voila, there we have it. That is it. And you know, sometimes, and I'll be the first one to admit, I don't really care sometimes when I have to like use it's not my favorite thing to do, to measure and cut, but it was so quick that I think it's actually not as bad as we might think. Okay, now here is our paper that is going to go underneath this. And this is where we are going to slide this piece out. And this is going to have our greeting on it. So if you noticed on this one here, when we pulled, we had a little bit of, I used a blending brush and we put some of that around here, and then our greeting. So what I want to do is do the same thing here. There's that little tail. We're going to hopefully fix that. The other thing too is you can see right here where it's kind of white through here. So I thought we would use our blending brush and kind of put some, make sure we put some color there with our blending brush as well. All right, so let's go ahead and bring back in our Bermuda Bay, and we're gonna go ahead and stamp our greeting inside, and then we are going to go ahead and do a little bit of shading. All right, so we'll use this greeting here, just sending well wishes. And pop that right down on our card here. There we go. All right, now we're going to take our blending brush here, and we're just going to, again, anytime you use these, you're just going to want to put a little bit off to the side, and then now we're just going to blend around. So it just, again, adds a little bit of color. And then we're going to kind of do some in the middle here as well. So maybe a little softer, but we're just going to make sure we've got some color there in the center. And before I didn't do this when I did the last one. So we're just going to make sure, and all we're looking to do is to make it so it's not too like stark white, which I think we accomplished that. So, okay, perfect. The other thing we could do here, and why don't we? We have our ink out. Let's go ahead and put a few waves maybe right in that center. Because the other thing with this card is you can write a message here, but you kind of need to do it before you put it in, or what you can do is actually take your card and you might want to cut another piece of white, and then you can actually put that on the back. So just again, something to think about there. All right, perfect. I think that will even look better. Okay, there we go. Making all kinds of impromptu changes, right? Okay, so there we go. What do you guys think? I like it even better. Kind of covers it up there. All right, so here we go. So we are ready to assemble our card here. And what we're gonna do first is we're gonna take, and we have to get our brads lined up with our fish. And then we're just gonna pop in a couple holes in here. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna find out if I want my fish to kind of end right at this spot here. Okay, I don't want it to go any further. So I need this brad to kind of be my stopper, so to speak. Okay, we're gonna put a dimensional there as well. Okay, but we kind of need we wanna make sure that our fish doesn't go past that particular area here. Okay, and I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put one on the tail because that way it'll keep it down. All right, so what we need to do is we need to poke a few little holes here, and we are going to use our take your pick tool, and we're going to use this pointy side here. Now I should have my little pierce mat, but I don't, so I'm keeping my fingers hopefully away. All right, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to poke a hole right here, and that's where one brad's going to go. And then if I line this up here and I'm like, okay, that's going to be kind of its tail, then the second one will probably be up here somewhere. Okay, so there we go. And now we're just going to take our brad here, and we can see that we can put it right in there. Okay, and we're going to take this one and we're going to put it right here. And now, if I haven't even put anything down yet, but you guys see that? That's it. That's all there is to it. That simple. And we can see our sending well wishes. It's barely coming through. Whew. I might have made that a little too close. So make sure you know exactly where your stops are before you maybe stamp your greeting so you have some idea. But that looks good, actually. I kind of like it like that. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and push these down. Now, again, as you guys can see, you're not going to want to make these, you know, like super tight, because when I push those down, I need to make sure that, and I think I may have just pushed that one down a little too hard. You want to make sure that you have plenty of movement there. Okay. Now, before we, well, we'll do that. We have to poke a hole there so we can put our ribbon through. So right now, we're going to go ahead and adhere our fish. So how we're going to do that is we're going to put some, a little bit of adhesive here. Now you could use glue dots, but whatever you decide to use, you're just going to want to make sure that it adheres nicely. Okay, so there we go. So there is our fish, and we'll just let that now, we'll let that dry. All right, so while that's doing a little drying there, okay, now we're ready to put our card together. But before we do, we actually are going to have to cut out another circle here, another diorama cut, so that our image will come through. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take this and we're going to run this right through, and I will be right back. Okay, now we have our image cut out of our actual base card. So now again, we can go ahead and adhere this down. And then we are going to bring in, so we're going to go ahead and adhere this right down to our card front. And we'll use that with adhesive here. All right. And we'll line that right up. Okay. Yeah, guys, on this one we kind of created an extra layer, but I think it's going to be a little bit nicer. Okay, now we're going to bring in our mechanism here. Remember, we got our nice little fish. He's going to travel across our water. So now what we're going to do is, again, we're going to put dimensionals in the corner. And that is going to make this part stick up in our card. And then it's going to let this fish freely slide back and forth. So again, we're going to take our dimensionals here. And we are going to put those in the corners. And what I think I might do is actually stack these too high here to allow us to have enough space, because our card is pretty flat otherwise. So again, up to you. But if you do it this way, it might make it, we're just going to try it, right? Because we're kind of doing a little bit of experimenting, I feel like, with this particular card. So we'll see. We'll see if we like it. If we like how it comes out, right? All right. And there we have it. And again, just a reminder, let's get all these little dimensional pieces out of the way. Just a reminder on your card, you want to make sure you don't put any right here. Otherwise, when you go to open it, of course, it would run into the dimensional and your little fish would not go all the way. All right, so here we are. So now what we're going to do, we're going to turn this over. Actually, let's do it this way. We'll lay this down and we are going to, oh, you know what, guys? I think I might have a dimensional that is in the way of our card. I do. So we're going to take this one off. Yikes. And I think we're good outside of that one. Okay, so we're just gonna take this and lay it right down. Oops, this one is too. Sorry, let me move these over and this one over. There we have it. And now again, we'll just line up our card. Our fish, make sure that we are getting it. Oops, let's do it this way, get it centered. Now let me make sure before we push down, let's just make sure we're not running into anything and it doesn't look like we are. Okay, so now we have this lined up in the back and there it is in the front. And again, just pulling to make sure we can see our well wishes. And now we're ready to go ahead and adhere the back. And we're just going to go ahead and put some adhesive here. And again, you want to make sure that you get it away from the edge because you certainly don't want it to pop up. And what he was saying about typing, writing out your greeting is you could actually take a piece of Whisper White and put that right on the back here, and you could actually write your message on the back of the card. All right, so now we are ready to punch our hole, and then we're going to decorate with a few more fish on the front. So we're going to take our hole punch and we're just going to make sure we find that center point. Okay, so if you kind of look, find the center point, kind of at the same place where the fish is coming out. And we don't want to make it too deep in there. And if that looks to be the center, we're just going to pop a hole in there. Take some of our ribbon, and we don't need too much, just enough to tie kind of a bow here. And we're just gonna, and this is the nice thing about this ribbon, it fits, it's just super easy to work with, even though it can be really thick, but you can see it just goes right in. And we're just gonna kind of double tie it here into a knot, and then there you have it. And then we're just going to put a few more fish on the outside, add our greeting, and we are ready to go. So we're going to trim this up just a little bit here. We don't need it quite that long. Oops. And there we have it. All right, look at that, guys. Isn't that cool? So pretty easy. All right, so now we're going to take our scraps for our sentiment here, and we're going to go ahead and use this Love Never Fails, and we're going to go ahead and put that in gray, basic gray. Again, we'll kind of want to line that right up, and I'm going to, hopefully won't get my head in the camera here. All right, there we go. Better the second time. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and take our snips, and we're just going to, in this case, we're just going to kind of make a little triangle here. So you're just going to put one in the middle, and then take from that corner edge, line your scissors up, and do the same thing on the other side. Line your scissors up to that point, and there you go. Now I do have the kind of the punch that makes the tags, and I really do like it, but this kind of works in a pinch too. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and just trim some of this off here, and basically do the same thing. Okay, so there we have it. Now we have our nice greeting. So we're going to go ahead and just adhere this. The nice thing about two-sided paper, right? We're just going to glue this down on our gray, basic gray, and we'll line those up, and we'll just keep a little bit on the edge there. And I'm going to actually push this up. See that? So we have just a little bit. And now we have this part right here. I'm actually going to cut this right along the edge because I want it to be straight. So actually we're going to go like that. There we go. Make that just a tad bit straighter. There we are. And now we can adhere this right on our card here. And I want this to line up. This edge is what I was looking to do by making that straight. So we're going to go ahead and pop this up on a couple dimensionals. And make sure, again, when you're putting your dimensionals on, that you don't have any that are going to hang off on that side. Just to be on the safe side there. So we'll put 2 there. And then we have our decorative fish here that we're going to put on. So what I did was I did 2 stamped in gray on mint macaron, and then 1 with Bermuda Bay stamped with Bermuda Bay. So we're going to have that one go to the right with our other Bermuda Bay fish. And then we're just going to lay those in different positions right there. And we're going to actually adhere those directly down on our card. All right. You know, this would be a great card for, you know, a child, somebody who likes fish or has fish. I think this would just be, I think they would so enjoy having this interactive card. And if you have any friends that watch The Chosen, again, I think they would really like it as well. Okay, and the last thing we are going to do is we're going to add just a little bit of bling. I actually really liked these. They reminded me, you know, when you're on the water and it just kind of glistens, that's what it reminded me of. So I thought, this is perfect. We're just going to add a few of these kind of up here, actually on, but again, we don't want to put them toward our runner with our fish. And then we'll just do a few more just throughout the outside of our card. And then we'll put a larger one maybe over here somewhere. And then maybe one over here. All right, there we go, guys. So again, this one we decorated just a little bit more than our last one. But again, you're just going to pull it out. They have their nice message. You can push that right back in. Oops. There we go. And you know, I think adding the two layers of dimensionals here, I think really helped. And you know, it feels a little puffy, but it's super light, so I don't think it's going to have any trouble whatsoever going through the mail. Because even if it does get smushed, because you have those two layers, it's allowing this just to slide so much better. The other thing I did not do as I'm pulling this in and out, I might make this bottom layer here thick white cardstock. You don't have to by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm just noticing that on this card, I put the, maybe the brads a little bit tighter, and I'm just noticing it slides fine, but I might have to just kind of push it a little bit with my finger. But the nice thing is the tail is not stuck at all on this card. So I absolutely love it. And then let me just show you our first one. And that is this one. So you can kind of see, you guys will have to tell me which one you think you like better. I really, I definitely think I like this green down here at the bottom using that stamp. But there you go. Just another card that you can make with the Fish and Wish stamp set and punch. So again, if you place a $50 or more order using the host code above there, the one right up there, I will send you a PDF tutorial that has 5 or 6 more designs for cards that you can use with this particular stamp set. All right, guys, thanks much. Thanks for joining. Have a great rest of your evening. Bye.